Good evening, everyone. This is Dolores Cannon again with the Metaphysical Hour. And we are live tonight, and we really have very honored to have a very special guest on tonight, too. But first, I'm going to make a few announcements. And the most important one deals with our conference that's coming up, and it's only a week away now.
1 week from today.
Next Friday morning is when we start. This is our 5th Transformation Conference, and it's being held in Rogers, Arkansas. We had to move to a larger venue because we outgrew the one last year. And we're expecting a huge crowd, and it's going to be even better than the one we had last year. And we brought in Helen Reddy then from Australia. So we have lots of wonderful guests at our talks at the conference, and it's really, people say it's the best they've ever been to.
Right.
And, oh, yeah, we did say that our vendor spots are totally sold out.
Sold out, where they're gone.
Some of them are still calling in wanting to get a vendor slot, but sorry, we even had a bigger room, and they're all gone. So this is an indication it's going to be big.
Yes, yes.
And all during the last 2 months, I've been having the different ones on the show that are going to be speakers. Because when we did this, it was more or less intended to be a showcase for the authors that our publishing company publishes, so they could get their feet wet and be able to talk before audiences. That was what it was intended to be, but it's no longer a small
Now
group.
It's a big puddle that they get their feet wet in.
But that was the intention, to get them used to speaking and so they can go out there and do these things. But it's spread, and we do have very good keynotes, too, in all of our conferences.
Absolutely.
But this is going to be June the 18th to the 20th, and it starts Friday morning about 8 o'clock, doesn't it?
9 o'clock it actually starts. I think the registration opens at about 8.
This is at Rogers, Arkansas, in the John Q. Hammond Center. And if you want any more information about the conference, how to sign up, and who all the speakers are going to be, you can check out our website, which is www.ozarkmountain. As our company is Ozark Mountain Publishing, but it's abbreviated on the website. It's OZARKMT.com, and where we have our toll-free number, which is 1-800-935-0045. And we're really, all our attention is being focused on the conference now as we come down to the last week. Okay, but our special guest tonight is really very, very special, and it's Lindsay Wagner, and she is the keynote for the conference. Okay, Lindsay, are you there?
I am. Hi there.
Okay. Before we go, I want to give out a toll-free number in case anyone wants to call in and just ask questions. But I would prefer that if they call in, they ask questions for Lindsay.
Yes.
Because sometimes they go off on all of these rabbit trails in different directions.
This is Lindsay's night.
This is Lindsay's night if you have any questions for her. So the toll-free number is 888-815-9756. 888-815-9756 if you have any questions. And Lindsay, you're calling, we're talking to you out in California, aren't we?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I know you're going to be our keynote speaker, and we've found out about you through our dear friend, Darren. And he's also a friend of yours, isn't he?
That's right, yeah. I met Darren in
He's
California,
the one who has put us all together, I think.
Yes, I know. And then he ended up there, and then he brought me over, and
he also is the one that brought us Helen Reddy, too. So he's a real go-getter out there.
He certainly is, and a lovely, lovely person.
Yes, he really is. Well, but Lindsay, you know, everyone knows you as a movie star and a TV personality, but you really now you're into a lot of different things that are going away from that, aren't you? You never really stopped making movies, but you're going into these other interests that a lot of people don't even know about.
Right. They have been interests of mine since I was very young. And it's been a lifetime of study, really.
Well, that's what I wanted to get into, because I don't think people know that you have been in metaphysics a long time, haven't you?
That's right, yeah.
Do you want to tell us anything about that, how it all started? How you got interested?
Well, it actually started when I had an illness, shortly before I was 20, and my boyfriend's mother was the personal secretary to Dr. William Hornaday, who was one of the co-founders of what was called the Science of Mind Church, which is now usually the churches are called Center for Spiritual Living. And they actually helped me by way of the spiritual mind treatments, which is kind of like a combination of visualization and prayer and meditation, taught me how to work on my physical illness while exploring my emotional, psychological ways of thinking and feelings and things from the past, and taught me how that ties into our health, and that in fact we have more power than we realize over that whole syndrome. And so really they were my introduction to the body-mind-spirit integration for healing either the physical or the emotional. And I was able to avoid a surgery by way of the tutelage I went through with them. And it was so dramatic that it was a real awakening for me. And I just thought, there's just a whole lot out here apparently that we're not taught in the mainstream. And so that began just a real avid quest for more.
Well, see, this is what I work with in my work, with the hypnosis. But I found that we make ourselves sick, and we have to go and find the cause of the illness. And then once we find out why we did this to ourselves, then it'll be removed. So it's the same line of thinking. And I try to steer people away from the regular medicine of the doctors into the natural and the alternative. And I think that field is really growing.
I do too. I do. And I'm not opposed to, part of that process was that I was in a very acute situation, and an MD who was also a Science of Mind practitioner, as well as an MD, was a part of my healing process, and he kept my acute situation at bay in a private hospital with certain drugs that could instantly help my critical situation. And so, to me, it is the appropriate use of the least toxic and the most helpful and least harmful or side effect as possible with the treatment. But sometimes the mainstream medical approach for certain things is wonderful for right now, but that isn't what heals. It's more that is what gives you the chance to go inside and find the healing from within, the true healing. Because you can get rid of symptoms with powerful drugs or surgery, but you didn't necessarily heal the source of that illness. And so that's how I see them all being wonderful, working together. When you
yes, I think it's good if they can work together. But, the idea, I believe, is not to have the invasive part. You can heal the body without having the surgery. People don't realize how strong their mind is.
No, it's totally true. And I wouldn't make that a blanket statement to never. But, and also, because it also depends on where you are. I mean, if you've had a very conventional upbringing and you have a lot of beliefs in your belief system that make you terrified to go through a natural process because you have this deep belief that you have to have the surgery in order to survive. I don't care how good that natural process is. If your belief is that strong, you probably better have the surgery and then continue on with learning about that, because your own fear of it not working is going to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So it's also relative to the individual, how much of what we might call invasive is necessary. It's very relative.
Because it is like the brainwashing. It is what we are taught as children and how we're raised, and where we're going to have that belief system. The mind is that powerful, the belief system that we go toward.
Right. And
but I know I have many clients that don't really don't want to be healed. And if somebody that really believes they're sick and never going to get well, nobody can do anything for them.
Right.
Which is a belief system,
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I also think that there are techniques today that I teach in my workshops and that I'll be talking a bit about at the conference that even help loosen the hold that someone's belief that I have this and I always will. There are techniques, because all that is a concept in the mind. It is a concept that we are identified with or that we are attached to.
Yeah.
And we can't really see that sometimes. It feels so real to us. It feels that is so absolutely real that it's hard to fathom that it's simply a program somehow stuck in my mind that I'm seeing the world through, that I'm experiencing myself or my life through. And so techniques such as energy psychology, which is brilliant, which is one of the things that I studied, 15 years ago or so, and it's one of the things that I teach in my workshops. I won't be really teaching it because I don't have time in the 3 hours that we have together at the conference, but in my 2 and 3 day workshops and retreats, I teach a simple form of that for people to be able to use, which bypasses the beliefs of the mind and actually releases the charge and the hold that somehow our mind has on the energetic field, which if it's released in the energetic field, it just naturally starts to change in the experiential. And in our mind just sees it differently because we don't have the energy, the frequency of that thought. I can never heal from this. I will always have that. It has a frequency. I mean, we're basically...
Yes, I was going to say, everything has a frequency. I think we're both on the same page. We believe alike. We just have different modalities. Different modalities, but it does all work,
Right,
but
you can even release a belief with certain techniques that others don't quite touch on. So you don't have to believe it, for example, when you go in to utilize energy psychology or EFT, emotional freedom technique. You don't have to believe it. If a practitioner, for example, observes that you have this belief that I really can't ever heal from this, and you believe it so strongly, you don't have to ask that person to change their mind. You can take them through a process which activates the acupuncture points while they actually think that thought, and it dislodges that thought from where it's anchored in the energy field. Because a thought can be a thought, but when it's anchored in our energy field, that's when the frequency dictates to us our experience or the way we choose to move forward. And without experiencing it, it's kind of hard. I will be talking about it, and I probably will do a demonstration of it with someone, depending on how much time we end up with on the
Lindsay,
day.
we're going to let you have as much time as you want on there. We have you at the end, and we put on everything 3+ hours, so you can take that longer if you like.
Because you're the last speaker on that day, so if you want to keep them there longer, you can.
All right.
Because this is important material, and I think people need to know about these things.
Yeah, I just think that we're at a time in history when, and I know everybody who's kind of in the metaphysical world knows this, believes this, we're at a point in time where we are at a kind of a critical mass, and we have the opportunity to make an amazing leap. And I believe that during these times when it gets so bad that on the equal scale there are new things coming up, new antidotes, if you will, or techniques that people will be inspired to just kind of spontaneously realize. And that's where some of these things have been coming from, because I think that the universe, there's always the positive and the negative, right? And we're experiencing an increase so much in the negative that simultaneously there is a flip side to that, and that is the positive. So if as the negative seemingly gets more exponentially faster and faster and more and more and more, I do believe that the healing techniques, the transformational techniques that we're kind of inspired. Oh wow, what if we did this with this? Whoops! All of a sudden, look at this. That works better than anything we've had so far. How is that possible? It's possible because it's equal. The positive is coming up. The potential of the positive at this point in time is equal to the potential of the negative.
Yeah, we believe the same thing, because this is the same thing that I'm lecturing on and I'm writing about, too, is that the veil is thinning. People are becoming more aware that there is more out there. The vibrations and frequencies are changing. I think the critical mass has been reached, and we're having wonderful things happen that we wouldn't even have thought of even 5 or 10 years ago.
That's right.
Everything is changing, and I think it's for the better.
Right. Oh, absolutely. So, yeah. So anyway, that's kind of a lot of what I do, and we talk about perspective, which is pretty much what you were saying.
I think it's amazing we do think alike, because, sometimes people say I don't have anyone that I can talk to, nobody understands me, but that's happening more and more now.
Everybody.
Right. Yeah, and you think the same way that we do.
Well, in a visual I kept having, when you were describing that, Lindsay, it was like, your words were great, because it's a visual I keep having all the time. People will say, well, why is it, look at all these negative things happening over here. And I said, well, look, the positive is growing, so doesn't it make sense? I mean, we have duality. Positive grows and negative grows because they both go up together. And what I'm always seeing is like they're going up almost in a V pattern, so that creates like a chasm in between. And in that process, I think, is where the two worlds, where they talk about the splitting worlds, like here we have the two worlds. That seems to be where that comes from. It's like this is where we are growing away, it's like apart or something in that process. So I don't know if that means anything, but... Anyway.
I'd love to see a drawing of what you see.
Oh, okay. So...
Sometimes she gets these visual images, and she never knows.
And boy, do I understand that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then try to put it into words, right?
Yeah, very much so. Yes, they don't give words for some of the things that you see.
I know. I know.
And she can hear them, and she'll say, "Well, won't you explain it a little better, or give me a little more information?"
Yeah.
Right. No, I
That's another thing. People are getting to where they're hearing them more. To where we're getting more information, and we're not so strange anymore. We're becoming the norm, I think.
Right. Right, and hearing themselves, hearing their higher self.
Absolutely, definitely.
I think a lot of times people think they're hearing another them, some other than themselves, and they don't because they don't even have a clue that they have this higher part of themselves that is tapped into the universal intelligence to begin with.
Right, absolutely, and it's so. I mean, they keep trying to make it all these different things, but it's really, that's it. It's just your higher self, which has the contact. It's all the connection up to everything. So you have tapped into everything when you do that. So.
Right.
And if you're smart, you will listen to what you hear, because it is the highest guidance, really.
Right.
Right.
That's what we go by. We run our company, and all of everything we do is based on that. We listen to them when they talk to us.
Right.
And I don't think we're crazy. I think we're all pretty much the same, aren't we?
It's all perspectives. It's all relative.
That's right.
That's the other thing that I focus on in my workshops is, the basic premise in all of my workshops or retreats, regardless of the length or if I'm working with special interest groups or if I'm working with public or an individual or whatever, it's all about how having an experience of and really viscerally getting that our experience of any life circumstance is a function of our perspective of it. That it isn't coming from out there. That thing did not come with this feeling. That this feeling is a function of what I'm already programmed with, and in response to that type of phenomenon. So when that phenomenon comes into my presence, without really understanding that, you think that thing gave me this feeling. When in fact, this feeling was my response to that. So there's no blame in that. It's not about blaming, and I didn't do this to myself. We're so programmed we have no idea. Oftentimes, even when we think we're choosing something, what we're choosing, we aren't choosing by way of a spontaneous inspiration in that moment. We're choosing from a handful of things that may or may not be constructive, and we're choosing one, that may be a little more constructive than the other, but was that a genuine, spontaneous, inspired moment of response as opposed to yet another program that I just pulled up, which was probably a little bit better than that one, and I think I chose it. And you did. You chose that. But were you genuinely at choice? You know what I'm saying? In the greater sense. So, but in any case, the what we look at, what I kind of help people do is have an opportunity to kind of relax into being able to see how we are involved in that response or in that pain. And not to say that you are guilty of doing that to yourself, but involved and are responsible in the true origin of that word, which is response-able. We've turned the word responsible into blame.
Yeah.
And to me, they're very different words.
Yeah, that's what I deal with in my work. There is no blame. Everything is lessons. Right. You know, I always say, what did you learn from it? Yes, it was a bad experience, but did you learn anything from it?
Right.
If you learned even one thing, that was what it was for. But some people say they don't learn anything. Well, then the experience is wasted. But it's not about blame. It's about taking responsibility that here I did this. Okay, I'm not going to make this mistake again. And what did I learn from it? That's the way I operate in my work.
Sometimes that takes time. Yeah, but sometimes it takes time. So if you can't see, I would encourage people who are listening to if you can't see what you got from it right there, just stay open to it. Ask the universe or God or Spirit or whatever your word is. Ask for clarity on what gift this experience has for me here, and because maybe it may happen again another time, and maybe there is a collection. You just don't know. So if we just stay willing and open, that is when the ahas can flow freely through, because maybe that's a part of a bigger matrix that you're about to learn. Maybe that incident, you can't see what or why, but know and have the faith that there's some gift inside that for you. And when you stay open to that, maybe it takes that and the thing that so-and-so said and then this other happening, all three of those put together, and bingo, there it is. So don't block out if you don't see what it is for you right now in this incident. Just know that it's all here. Everything that comes up in our life is for the benefit of our spiritual growth. And especially if we receive it that way, we'll move through it a lot faster. We'll find those gifts a lot faster.
And if they don't see what they're supposed to learn, then they'll have to experience it again, because it's like a class in school. You have to take it over again till you finally learn the lesson. That's the analogies I usually give people.
Right.
It's just school. You can't jump from kindergarten to college.
Right, and that is often true. That is often true. Or it may be a part of something bigger, is I guess what I was trying to say. Sometimes it is true that you'll have to do it again if you can't see it, or if you're not. But if you're willing, sometimes it takes a little while to see what that was. So don't get down on yourself if you can't see it right away and think, oh God, now I've got to go through that again, because you'll have to set that up just by your nature of thinking that. That's why it's true. Staying willing, if you don't get too attached to the belief system that I have to experience that again because I didn't see any value in it.
But when you're too close to it and you're in the middle of it, that's when it's the hardest to see what it's trying to show you.
Exactly.
Well, that's a lot of times I've been told that you just start asking, what is it you want me to know? Because when we're talking about the higher self, you in coordination with your higher self set this up so you could learn from it. And that's just like, okay, what is it you want me to know? Like you're saying, help me have clarity with this. It's the same thing. Just what am I trying to see here? So,
then trust whatever comes in.
Right.
Exactly.
But I think you are right if talking about the critical mass. More and more people, if my clients are any indication, that they are becoming more aware that there is something more out there, and they are listening more to themselves, a lot more than they used to.
Well, and if you notice TV, I mean, there actually are more things on TV, not just the shows, but there's even in odd shows, there'll be comments made about reincarnation or the universe, just odd things. It's like, again, little bitty crumbs being put out there like this is a normal word now. People are accepting. So it's just, so I think that's a way of, that to me, that just shows where we are. It just kind of shows where the mass is. So
Right.
Yeah, I always tell people, you can drop a few crumbs and see where people are. You don't have to give them the whole loaf because they're not going to take it. Just a few crumbs to see if they're going to be open to what you want to tell them, and then take it from there.
Right.
Well, when that beep comes, that means it's a caller. Are you okay with somebody calling in, Lindsay?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Is there a caller there?
Yes. Dale from Florida.
Dale again. Okay. This is a question for this is a regular caller. Okay. Do you have a question for Lindsay?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Hi, Lindsay. Huge
Hi.
crush on you ever since I was a kid. The anger. How do you address anger with knowing who and what you are now, and as far as learning what we are and what we, as human beings, what we're progressing? I'm still having a difficult time with the anger. What is the systemic of? It's just, in general, just like anger at the fellow human beings, ones that refuse to wake up.
Right.
Is it an ego thing? Is it just an acceptance thing? I'm still struggling with it.
I think it's all.
I'm waking up more and more every day. It's just that I feel like I'm just so anxious or angry.
Right. It's kind of a big answer, but straight off the bat, I would teach you that technique of energy psychology, or a different form of it called EFT, which is an easier form to learn, which will dislodge a lot of the anger that you just carry with you. And you don't realize it until it gets triggered. And that's something that, it's pattern. It's a pattern. It's not you. It's not who you are. It's a response pattern, a defense mechanism, and it's something that you learned or absorbed or inherited genetically from a very long time ago. This is not something that you really, again, this is something where you are not at choice. It just happens, right? It just comes up. You're not at choice. You didn't say, I'm going to choose anger here instead of compassion. No, you're not at choice there.
It just wells up.
You can become.
A snap of a finger.
You can't, exactly. You can develop the will to be at choice as to what you do with it once it comes up. The technique, one of the techniques that I find extremely helpful with that is, are you coming to the conference, by the way?
No, I'm not going to be able to make it. No.
One of the
He's in Florida, I guess, too, but a lot of people are coming from everywhere.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
One of the techniques that I suggest you look up is energy psychology, or EFT, and it's a way of tapping on your acupuncture points. And
really? I've heard about this.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. To me, it's one of the most amazing and exciting new techniques that have come around. It's I don't know how old, maybe 20 years old or so, but it's an offspring of acupuncture. But you do it with an acupressure. You use those same points and you tap, because we're electrical. We have an electrical system in our body. So when you tap with your finger on a particular acupuncture point, you're actually getting a charge to that acupuncture point and using your own body's electricity to stimulate it. So, and you do it in a particular way while letting yourself feel that anger. And it actually goes down through your meridians and into your energy field and dislodges those old patterns of anger. So you may not like what you see. You may think, oh gosh, that person is so destructive with their... Once you have had a chance to clear that from your energy field, you may disagree with those people that you have that anger response to, but you won't have that involuntary anger response anymore once you work with that process. And it is absolutely brilliant. It's one of the most effective things that I've seen. Also understanding that when you look at them, let's kind of explore that for a second. What are you seeing? What do you see, for example? Just tell me. It doesn't have to be logical. It can be the expression of what you emotionally feel when that anger comes up. If you're looking at someone who's doing something that you think is ignorant or when you said people who refuse to change, for example.
How do I put it? Well, I'll give you an example.
Okay, that's always easy. Good.
It was at first, the first real big thing that really struck me was religion. And after careful studying on the internet and actually going to the library and looking at some books, there's certain aspects, in my opinion, that are starting to show that things are not what they appeared to be. And it just torqued me off. And
okay, so what about that makes you? What about that makes you angry? What about that? What thoughts do you have about the fact that things aren't the way you were taught?
I feel betrayed. I feel lied to.
Okay.
But at the same time, I think it was done by design.
Say again?
At the same time, I think, I'm not quite sure yet, but I believe it may have been done by the creators that seeded us here in order to give us something to find our balance, because, we came here as spiritual beings into the human form, and the way religion tells it, it's a whole different story. It's the whole Adam and Eve, yada, 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 yada. So it's my own personal belief. I feel like I've been betrayed, and I'm just so angry because, my God.
First of all, you're believing something that you don't know to be absolutely true, aren't you?
Yeah.
You said, I think the creators put us here, blah, blah, blah. That's theory. Is it not really for you, or have you sat down and really personally met the creators? They said this is what happened. Do you see what I'm getting at? It is a belief that you have right now, and I'm not saying it's right and I'm not saying it's wrong. But I'm saying...
Well, look, I'm 45 years old. I just got over the fact that Santa Claus wasn't real, and now they throw the whole religion thing.
Now you're getting to the bottom of it. You see, that old wound of thinking that your parents lied to you is still there.
And once lied to me!
Exactly. And when you feel... You got it, and that pain is still lodged in your energy field. So when you think about something as an adult, and you're exploring this idea of creators, which of course is a macrocosmic version of parents, is it not? That old wound and sense of betrayal gets projected onto this present day circumstance and exploration that your mind is wanting to go through, and so you're having that same response. So I would, as a practitioner, take you through a process that would release that sense of betrayal and anger with your parents from Santa Claus and just release that negativity from there. And what you would do is remember that incident without the pain. And then you could look at this present day and be more objective about what you're exploring, because you don't have that old wound presenting itself as a stencil between you and this present moment.
Yeah. And with from what I've learned, I have learned how to meditate. And I'm now, look, I feel like I'm a building still under construction. Now, I don't think I'll ever be complete until this life is done with me. But I have to go with the skills I know. And right now, I like what you say. And yes, I'm going to plug into it. The meditation has been working for me, but something kind of nice has been working. Before I go to bed every night, I throw my intentions out there of what I really want to work on. And son of a gun, it may not happen that night, overnight, but every morning now when I wake up, I really feel like I have had a work session or something, and my mind is just flooded. My memories just seem to be flooded with stuff that I've been working on in my dream state. And my gosh, this stuff is vivid. I've been writing this stuff down. And it's getting more and more like I'm letting loose of, I'm beginning to heal, I think is what I'm saying. But with what you're telling me, I'm plugging into this, and it's just that, it's learning new skill sets for oneself.
Right, and you can even continue to deepen what you've been using, which is setting your intention, asking for the healing from the universe or the awakening or whatever, however you're asking for that, on this issue as well. You know, show me what I need to learn about myself that I can let go of this anger response, or just take it away if there's nothing I need to learn. Just, I'm willing to let it go. I'm willing to be someone else. I'm willing to not be judgmental. I'm, you know, you see what I'm saying?
Well, I definitely am going to get definitely plugged into that. Thank you very much, Ms. Wagner.
You're welcome.
Very nice talking with you.
Okay.
Likewise.
And thank you, Dale.
Take care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Keep up the good work. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, everybody is a work in progress.
Indeed.
But I think that's really good advice, what you were giving, Tim. And it is, you know, people do get stuck in their rut. They get stuck in a pattern, and they can't see beyond that. You can't see the forest for the trees and realize what they're doing to themselves, really.
Right. Well, we also aren't necessarily always trained to understand that those are just thoughts. Those are just thought patterns. Those are programs. It's not who we are. But they feel so real that we then identify with that as who we are, or we identify with it that is real, inherently real.
There's another caller. We were getting the calls tonight. Okay. But that's good. You know, I think this has been helpful to other people listening also. Okay, let's see what this one wants, Lindsay. Hello, is there anybody there?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
My name is Michael.
Hi,
Are you there?
Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi. First of all, it's a pleasure to speak with you. I had no idea that you were this spiritual. And it's nice to know that there are other people out there. My question is, I keep asking for a sign to see what I'm supposed to be doing. I have a lot of healing energy. That's not what I do, but it's just a gift I have. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering where I'm supposed to be. And I keep asking for a sign. They keep sending me pigeons. Literally, a pigeon came to my house and hung out.
Did you check his leg for
and he came back.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to make of that, really. I know they send messages in different... I mean, how do I decipher that? Is what I guess I'm trying.
Well, they're all pretty personal to us. I mean, what does a pigeon mean to you? It's like when you analyze your dreams. You know, everything is not exactly set that when you have this in your dream for everybody at all times, it means that. No, it can mean something different to someone else, even though there are these general archetypes that, in general, these types of things can mean this in one's dream. So as far as, seeing signs, what does a pigeon represent to you?
That's a good question. I don't know. I'm trying to intuit something into it. I don't know. He's flying with the wind. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, when you think of a pigeon, do you think of how we use that sometimes in reference to a sucker? He's a real pigeon. Or do you think of it as a messenger? Because
as a messenger. Because actually, this little guy had something on his feet that showed that he belonged to someone, and I was able to read the phone number and called and I left them a message. Your pigeon's here, but I never got the So they
never called you back?
No, they never called me back.
Wow.
Maybe I got the wronger, but it was kind of funny, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
maybe it came from another dimension.
How long ago was that?
It was about 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, maybe he's just saying, hang in there.
Okay. I just thought maybe you'd intuit something into that, or you knew some special meaning of the pigeon.
No, but it's what it means to you. That's what's so important. And sometimes it takes someone else prompting you to help you kind of open up to see what that might mean to you. Did it come back ever again?
Yes, it did. Came back several times.
Same one.
I fed him. I fed him, and I gave him water, and I thought, okay, that's the last I'll see of him. And there he comes.
Maybe that's what you're supposed to do, is take care of pigeons.
Animal sanctuary.
I'm a pigeon person.
Apparently the pigeon thinks so.
Yeah, maybe.
So,
he came back
or, it could also mean that it's not going to come, what the answers are, because to me we have these big questions and we wait for that one big answer and really specific, whereas to me I have had to constantly remind myself that it is what I do day to day that's really the answer. What do I do with it today?
That's a good point.
That healing energy went out to that pigeon. And, in your heart, your giving of yourself, the giving of your heart, it wasn't to heal a person's wound, or to, you know what I'm saying? And yet you have that because that is the same energy. For example, creative energy is the same energy that the Kundalini, it's what you use to act, to paint, to create a child. And the higher it goes in your chakras, goes more up into giving love, having intimacy. You have all that same energy. It depends on what chakras start filling up. How it moves and where at what chakra level we express it, and or into a very spiritual experience when that energy hits our higher chakras.
My energy is such that I blow light bulbs out.
Okay. And how is your day-to-day life as far as your responses to things? Do you find you have responses and things you'd like to change, or that belie your ultimate aspiration for your way of being?
Well, it's kind of funny. People, because I have this energy, I don't have a shingle out or anything. It's just a gift. People cross my path that I think need fixing or something, and I offer it, and they take it, and I never see them again. And they get better. I'm not walking on water. I think I'm just kind of a spark plug, is what I think.
Well, I think we all have that potential. I think we all have
Absolutely.
that potential, and some of us are more tapped into it than others, and some of us believe we don't have it, and somebody else does. But either we're all made from the same source with the same potential, and we uniquely express this versus that, and that one that versus this. We're all bringing all the potential in to this dimension, because we are kind of all one big organism anyway. Yeah. And we think of ourselves
I
as totally
agree with you.
separate.
I think everybody has the gift. I just tuned into it. That's all.
Right. So what is your dilemma? I don't hear what the problem is.
Okay. The dilemma is, do I keep doing what I'm doing for a living, or do I go out and, become this?
Well, what is your drive? What is your
what you desire?
What my desire?
Do you hate your job? Do you love your job? Do you?
I like it, but I mean, it's.
Why can't you do both?
Well, that's what I'm kind of doing now. I mean, but I'm doing it kind of on the side,
And do you feel dissatisfied with having that be your?
No, I just
the
think
right word, avocation, and your vocation being your job, how you make money. Believe me, I understand the dilemma.
I'm not dissatisfied. I just think, am I supposed to be doing more? I mean, I only heal the people across my path. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Should I be? I
think you'll know that when the time comes that you're supposed to be doing something else. We get into that supposed to kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, ask for clarity. I would ask for clarity if there's something that you could be doing right now, and I wouldn't should on myself, so I don't say should be doing, just say something else I could be doing or something more I could be doing that I'm not right now.
Okay, I'll go with that.
I would ask for that. And then see if you have a shift. And I'm willing to make whatever change is necessary. If
I'll go with that. I like
where I can better serve.
It's the way the words that you expressed. I like that. Okay.
Okay.
I really appreciate your input. What's that?
Then trust it if it feels right, too.
Okay, exactly.
You'll know. You trust it if it feels right for you to do.
Okay. Well, I enjoy the program, and you have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
I think these have been good advice because we never know who's listening out there who might really have the same problems and the same questions. And this way we can share it with everyone. But Lindsay, I do want to get over into your work with the abused children. And they said that's a big thing with you, isn't it?
Actually, I work with the. I work. Well, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I just realized what you're talking about. You're talking about
shifting gears a little bit here. Shifting gears. Okay.
I've been the honorary chair of ICANN, which is the Interagency Council of Child Abuse and Neglect, for 20-some years. But I honestly do more work with the parents and the domestic violence as far as directly working with them. I work more with that entity than I do with the children, helping that entity grow, and the facilitators and the people who work directly with the children have a stronger support system.
Because it does go back to the parents. That's where the problem really begins.
Right, and the work that I've done more directly is with domestic violence offenders. The men, for example, who have been convicted of battering their spouses or their children, and in helping the families, the wives or girlfriends or whatever, significant others, come back together with that person once they finish their incarceration period for the convicted offense.
Because otherwise they go back into the same situation, so you have to help them to change their attitude, I guess.
Exactly, and redefine themselves, recontextualize, to wrap your mind around the fact that these things that you feel and think, and the way you see yourself and the way that you see others, are all concepts that are in our file cabinet. And they can be changed or cleaned or turned around the other way because they're backwards, and the same kind of wounds, for example, the same types of things, not the same thing, but in the same vein as we were talking originally to Dale, was it?
Anger.
Having that old feeling, that comes from way back. That really doesn't have to do with the present. It has to do with something from the past that never got healed within that little person, that child self of yours, still being stuck there, and that's what gets triggered. And it seems so real here and now that you have to stop that person from making you feel that way because you think that that's where it came from. So when you get
stuck into a pattern, into a rut where they were probably abused as a child too. Completely. They think that's the only way you're supposed to react to anything.
But it isn't even a conscious thought. That's what I'm saying.
No, it's not.
Think, now here, this is da-da-da-da, and then they think it out, and then they punch.
Be the first ones to deny it.
Well, I guess, a lot of times they'll say it's a trigger, something triggered it, and it was like, it was emotional, and it's figuring out where the trigger is from.
And it feels real, and you identify with it. And you think that that's something that's real, inherently real, has its own. And that's why we stay so stuck in it, whatever it is, whether it's shame or guilt or anger or lack of self-worth, whatever it is, when we feel something like that, we tend to think that has its own inherent existence, and it doesn't. That's what we don't know. That's what we haven't learned so much of in our culture.
Right.
We're starting.
That's why it's so important to find where it comes from, the cause. I have clients who are there maybe in their 60s and 70s and still haven't let go of something that happened to them when they were a little child. And I said, most of the characters in the story have died. I said, why are you still holding on to this?
Right.
Because you've got to let it go. It's not hurting them, it's only hurting the person. Right. And that's where I try to talk to them about. Why hang on most of your life and make your life miserable over something that should have been let go decades ago?
Yeah, but sometimes it's just so hard. That's why I love the energy psychology work. Because you don't have to do any work on it other than follow the pattern that you may need to tap on it, and it's just extraordinary. I can't.
So you don't actually have to find out where and when it happened or where it came from. You just
you don't have to understand anything. That's the beauty of it. I feel we don't have time anymore to figure out.
No, that's true.
Well, a lot of this stuff is so buried they can't find it anyway. They've forgotten about it. All they know is they're angry and they don't know where it came from.
And a lot of it is. a lot of it came from intrauterine, the experiences.
It could be, yes, it could be.
So you're never going to figure that one out. Not to mention the genetic coding that we inherited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why it isn't. These new techniques are so brilliant because we have to get into that energy field and just dislodge the emotion of it. And then we won't have that response. We'll have maybe the thought or the memory, but we won't feel that anymore. And that's what I'm so excited about, the types of techniques that I was so excited about it when I experienced it for myself on something I'd been working on for years, knew it inside and out, even knew where it came from. But I could not break the response. Now, I had learned to modify my behavior in the face of that internal response, do the right thing on the outside, but I still was suffering with the internal response. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I was introduced to this process, and it happened so fast. It was relieved so quickly. I could not believe it. It was hard to even believe that I didn't have that feeling anymore after all these years of having that. I just couldn't believe it.
It becomes a part of you. But I think you're right. You're saying we don't have time anymore because things are moving so fast that it's time to get rid of this stuff. There's no sense in holding on to it, even if we don't know where it comes from. Get rid of it so we can move on because everything is changing so fast. If you want to move with it, you're going to have to change also.
That's right. Indeed.
Mm-hmm. The whole world is changing.
Forward to meeting everybody at this conference.
Oh, yeah.
Y'all are kind of out there. Y'all are kind of out there.
Yeah, we are.
But in this little town where we live, we can't discuss any of this stuff. That's why one reason we have...
I think there's a few people in town that...
Very few.
Line,
but with the company, we publish these kind of books, and then we have the conference, so we have people out there. And then when I travel, I run into so many. But it's always good to find somebody that you have something in common with. And I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, exactly. So is that the town that you live in where the conference is going to be?
No. No. Is that the town we live in? Is that where the conference is?
No. It's in the next city because the town we live in has about 2,000 people.
Okay.
And I like it because it's my refuge. I can come back here and recharge my batteries after I'm traveling, and nobody here knows what I do.
We're out in the middle of the country, out in the boonies, on top of a mountain, and so it's just quiet.
The conference is over in the city. It's really right by the home of Walmart. Their headquarters is over there.
Okay.
So you won't have to worry about that kind of an attitude.
And everybody at our conference comes from all over the world, and we are all one of like mind.
Yeah, because
it's wonderful.
It's the same thing. They all want to find people they can talk to and relate to in the same way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay. Well, we're coming up to the top of the hour. It sure went fast.
Yeah.
But, Lindsay, if people want to contact you, do you have a way for them to do that?
Yeah, that would be LindsayWagner.com or LindsayWagnerInternational.com. The international website is all about my workshops and retreats. And also, I made a meditation CD. It's called Open to Oneness, and it even has its own little website, opentooneness.com. But you can also...
Oh, that's sweet. That's cute. That was very nice of you.
Okay. Well, you're going to have the CDs for sale too at the conference, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Do that. And
probably bring your books too, aren't you?
The cookbooks, the vegetarian cookbooks, I'll bring. Yeah.
Okay. Because these people are always all interested in the same thing, anyway.
Yeah. Sure.
But if anybody wants to get a hold of you, it's LindsayWagner.com, all one word, or LindsayWagnerInternational.com.
Or the other one was, what was the
name of
the CDs? What was the CD's website?
Open to Oneness.
Open to Oneness.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can just click on the store in either one of those other websites. Click on the store and you'll see the CD right there, and then you can go to the CD website.
Okay.
Through it. Yeah.
All right. But anyway, Lindsay, at the conference, that's why we put you as the last speaker on Sunday.
Saturday.
Don't get the days mixed up here. That shows you how mixed up we are. We're in the middle of all this. Okay, but Saturday, we put you as the last speaker, so you can go as long as you want.
All right, you're in trouble now.
As long as the people want to sit there and listen, as long as you hold out, anyway.
Okay.
Because they said you're used to going 5 hours.
Yeah.
But if you want to include that what you were talking about with the
right.
If you want to include that in it, there probably should be plenty of time then if you want to do it.
Yeah, it's your arena. You get to do what you want. So.
All right.
I think it sounds very valuable. It would help a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's phenomenal. It sounds, I'm really interested to see what you've got going. So.
And we'll be doing the oneness meditation also.
Yeah.
Julie said she's heard of the oneness meditation, but
not experienced it.
You want to mention anything about that?
Yeah, sure. It's actually a transference, if you will, of an energy, or it's. Sometimes I don't like to use the word transfer because it sounds like I'm giving you something that you don't already have. But I see it more as a fanning of the potential that we all have to experience oneness, and it's something that I went through training in India. At the oneness, what they call the Oneness University. Some people would call it an ashram, but it's not intended to be a spiritual path. It is a spiritual experience and technique that once you have a great deal of experience with it and opening the channels of this experience of oneness, where it kind of calms down the parietal lobe activity and activates other parts of the brain, it recalibrates the frequencies of the chakras to hold a more steady frequency, if you will, of the experience of oneness, meaning that we can feel our connectedness. When you feel your connectedness to the whole of the creation, you inevitably feel a lot more calm. And
all right, I work a lot.
And less fear.
Yeah.
And so... and then, at the same time, because it doesn't mean, a lot of people get it confused with sameness. It's not. Oneness is the experience of our inherent connectedness, and while perceiving our individuality, and there's such a peace that comes with that, and it's instantaneous. It's really trippy. This is another one of the newer things that's come about in the last 50 years that is a unique phenomenon that's really potent. And those two things right there, the oneness meditation and the EFT, energy psychology, are what actually motivated me to start doing public programs, because it was so powerful for me. I thought people really need to know about this, and that's how I did it.
So I think at your talk, if people come, they're going to really experience a lot. I think you're going to have a lot to share with people. So it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, it's not about more information. How much we all got tons of information. If we can have an experience together, to me that's what brings about transformation, is the experience of it.
Absolutely.
Well, we're at the top of the hour. We've got to sign off, or Don is going to pull the plug on us at the studio. But we're really looking forward to meeting you next week.
Thank you. Me too, Dolores. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. This has been wonderful, Lindsay.
So anyone who wants to come to the conference, check out our website for more details, ozarkmountain.com, OZARKMT.com, or call the office at 1-800-935-0045. So thanks for coming on tonight, Lindsay.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, we'll see you next week.
All righty.
So good night, everybody, and thanks for listening.
Good night.
Good night.
If you enjoyed the show, check out more of our other videos and be sure to subscribe and click the like button. Thank you for listening to the Metaphysical Hour with Dolores Cannon.